We have been talking about privacy policy, what it is and what are the various important components of a privacy policy. In this video, we are going to talk about how should you communicate and what should be covered under the privacy policy when you are talking to it about it with your internal organization. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you have been watching new content on data privacy on a daily basis. Let's talk about privacy policy here, and to begin with, let's talk about what is privacy. Privacy is my right to decide what personal information I want to share with whom and for what purpose. And do I want to allow him to further share my information with a third party? This process of a business coming to me, asking me for my personal information, seeking my permission to share it with someone else, seeking my permission on processing processes is also known as consent management, and data privacy overall provides me with those laws and rules that help me protect my interest if in case I see my information being wrongly used or wrongly shared with anyone. So that's the basic definition of what data privacy is. Essentially, we need to understand that if you need as a business someone's personal information, then you need to define a very clear purpose of why do you need that information. You should collect minimum possible information which is required to execute your purpose. You should not collect anything extra from that individual, and you should collect only relevant information, not anything irrelevant which does not solve your own purpose. So that's the base premise of the collection of information when it comes to data privacy. This helps you establish the context, and it gives confidence to the individual, which we call as data subject or user in case of data privacy, that he is able to give you a free consent on utilizing his personal information the way you want to utilize it. He also understands that you are respecting his user rights. You are going to process it very transparently. And final, last but not the least, you should have a clear communication on the purpose of collecting the information, the processing methods that are going to be used from the information, and how it would be shared with any other third party. These three things need to be very clear when you collect personal information from any external person. Once you have collected it, you need to establish within your organization how is this personal information going to be used. To establish that, you create a document which is also called as privacy policy. It's an internal document made for your own organization as a policy document that can tell your team as to how they are going to handle any personal data collected from any outsider, which could be a customer, a vendor, an employee. Employees have personal data that comes into the HR department, and it could be any subcontractor, but you also have to tell it to your employees internally and subcontractors if they are involved in processing any personal information. You need to have a very clear understanding and policy with them also. There could be very small examples, like for example, you want to distribute as a standard the birthday gifts to all your customers. Right? So you pick up a list of your customers with their birthdays, with their address, and hand it over to a third party agency to deliver it. So you need to have an understanding on paper as your privacy policy and subcontract with them as to how they're going to utilize this address and phone number. It is meant only for once a year gift that is to be sent by the company, not to be used in any other form or any other purpose. Right? So that helps establish a clarity in your organization with your contractors as well as employees, and they can allocate resources accordingly to take care of the needs. Now, how should this be communicated in the system? The key purpose of the policy is that you are educating your management and stakeholders at the first step to tell them what are you going to involve in privacy policy as such. It also helps you to educate your employees and contractors on what all is there in the privacy policy, helps increase the awareness of any data breach or privacy breach risk that your organization carries, and avoids any confusions, and helps improve transparency in your organization regarding handling of personal information, both of the employees as well as the data subjects or your customers or your third parties. It helps avoid any gaps in processing any personal information and helps establish the primary privacy goals of your organization. Right? So this is the key why your employees should know and subcontractors should know what policy you have. The way of communication could be, first, the document or your communication strategy should say why are you even communicating it. Is privacy policy just for the sake of announcement, or are you actually going to follow it? Well, ideally you should follow it, because then that is the way you safeguard yourself against a breach, right? So you should spread the privacy knowledge in your organization, train your employees to change their behavior, right? Follow the PBD, privacy by design concept, that the privacy system of handling personal information is a part of my working culture. It is not that when some breach would be found out, then I'll start looking for it. When should you communicate it? You can have as in when you publish a policy, as in when you see a change in the policy. You can fix up days like end of year reviews or employee induction. Employee induction definitely needs to have a privacy policy when you are adding a new member into your team. Similarly, onboarding a new vendor should also have your privacy policy intact. Maybe if a vendor onboards a new team, then also you should have a session on your privacy policy for the people who are actually handling the data, right? Because everyone is supposed to be aware of it. And you can pick up days like privacy day or privacy week that happens once in a year to spread more awareness about privacy policy of your organization. Who is your audience? All your employees are your audience. All your user groups, your managers, your leaders, your vendors, your subcontractors processing your data, they are all your audience for privacy policy communication. What should be the communication method? Could be an intranet within your organization, right? Your office could have digital screens, especially on the reception areas or customer visiting areas as well, though customers are not concerned with your privacy policy, but displaying them there adds to their confidence when they are sitting there. You can have short videos that can help people understand the relevance, posters, flyers. You should include a bit of case studies, small flyers with case studies, breach incidents, something that happened anywhere in the world. You can use that as a case study and tell your people that you need to be careful, else this can happen with us also, right? Especially if there has been a big financial impact, or if the data subject whose privacy has been breached has really lost something because of that breach in privacy. You need to be very, very sure and create a guideline of how your privacy and your communication team will work together, because it's an important information that is going to be circulated within your organization. Would they have meetings? Would they have con calls? Right? So what would be their review mechanism? How would they monitor each other's progress? That should be well defined. What functional areas are most aligned? For example, production and admin, they are pretty much aligned. Factory worker involved in production talks a lot to the admin. So they are pretty much aligned. Their data points may be common as well, right? So how would they handle the privacy policy? Information security and HR. Because when you onboard an employee, it's the HR who tells you the level of the employee, and information security that defines the access and rights of that person while creating a user for him. So both these teams need to work very, very clearly, and these teams, as an example, should be well aligned with the overall organization's privacy policy. What is the best way to motivate training to your staff, right? It could be, as I mentioned earlier, nice posters, short videos, danglers. Your cafeteria has a TV and throughout the day, or maybe at least during the lunch breaks and tea breaks, you have short videos that come up talking about privacy, maybe something related to employees themselves also, so that they realize, oh, if my personal information is out, it is bad for me, so I should take care of others as well. Which matrices will track effectiveness? Privacy policy has to have defined matrices, and whenever you are reviewing your policies, you should be able to review whether these matrices have improved or not. And when should you conduct stakeholder workshops? Stakeholder workshop is the most important part, because until your stakeholder, your owner manager, your key team members are completely in sync with your privacy requirement, then the privacy policy won't work very well for the organization. They are the ones who are going to help you finally conclude on what is acceptable. Rather, it could be the other way around also, as to you have to get their buy-in to make them things acceptable to ensure that you are able to manage privacy properly in your organization. You need to tell them what is the market expectation from them. You need to tell them how privacy is being handled all around in similar organizations, in similar industries or same industries, right? Like you talk about other standards, there are privacy standards also. So you need to well educate your stakeholders on these and answer their questions, so that until unless they are committed to get privacy implemented in your system, it would be difficult for the rest of the team to be serious about it. So from the stakeholders to the junior most security of your organization, you have to communicate your policies very well to each one of them. Use best possible mechanisms that you like: colorful posters, danglers, gifts, case studies, maybe sometimes a bit of scare about the breaches and the impact of breaches. to make sure that people understand the relevance of privacy policy. So that's about the privacy policy communication that you should have in your organization. In the next video, we should talk about the cost of a privacy policy for an organization. Stay tuned with my channel, subscribe the channel, share your feedback in the comment section, and press like and bell icon if you like my content. Thank you.